What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Seed Your Success podcast. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are building a life that you love, AKA hate that term, you've heard of 10X. But how do you really 10X your life, right? There's been so many books that have been written about 10Xing your income, 10Xing your productivity. But what does it really mean? And that's what we're going to be breaking down in this podcast. And I'm going to be bringing something forward that will both inspire you and stretch you outside of your box. So there's a problem about 10Xing, my friends. Number one, how can you personalize this to you? And how can we look at the opposites? To really understand, I really want to invite you in to looking at the polarity of both yin and yang. And you'll see what I'm talking about in future and past, and looking at the polarity of 10Xing. And so I'm really going to share this concept that is a very simple and easy way to walk away and change the way that you think about 10Xing your life. And we're going to start with principle. Now, the three components of 10X psychology, if you will, are identity, time, and future. And your identity comprises your story, your standards, your values, your beliefs, and it influences how you view yourself and the world, external world around you. That is your filter. And it also affects how you look at the future. And it's really essential to recognize that your past self doesn't define your present or your future self. I'm going to say that again. Your past self does not define your present and future. You have the power to shape the meaning of your past and use it as a tool for growth. We're going to halt right there for a second. And we get all of these new methodologies about there about healing trauma, energy, energetic medicine, somatic body experiencing. These are all tools. We have to fundamentally peel away and really look at from an objective view, a neutral space. But once you can get to that place where you can really look at the meaning of your past and use it again for growth. Some may call it post-traumatic growth, whatever you want to call it. And regarding time, the traditional view was that this past projection is going to project out into your present and into the future. But a more accurate and useful perspective is that the present shapes the meaning of the past. Your future is also crucial, and it's essential to go beyond short-term thinking because your future self should be imagined, emotionally connected to, and actively shaped. So if we let your future self filter your present actions and thoughts, that's 10X thinking. So again, it's crucial to look beyond short-term thinking, that your past determines the filter of your now, and you want to bridge out into the future to create the actions and thoughts of the present. So 10X thinking requires that kind of qualitative transformation, not just quantitative to increase or to achieve 10X growth. We really must look at that 80% of your life that does not align with your 10X, here's the word, future self. That is the lens. All these manifestation tricks and hacks, etc. If we bring this missing component in on the 80%, we really will start to look at what are all the things, the email funnels that you're worried about and you keep on rewriting, what kind of methodology in the funnel you should use. Should you get another certification? All of these things really don't matter. One thing one thing only. And that's why I host co-working hours every Monday. If nobody shows up, I show up for myself. And that time is to take the time to strip away 80%. So we have to let go of the 80% of our lives that doesn't align with our 10x future self. Now, when I talk about 10x, I'm talking so big, so clear, so definitive that this literally will filter out all these little things that get on your nerves and just take up time when we are already time starved, my friends. So a great example of this is legendary Steve Jobs, where he really showcased this by simplifying the music industry. He stripped away all of the unnecessary aspects and created qualitative change. Not 1,000 CDs, one song. Not a bunch of tapes, one device. To simplify, it dialed down that I talk a lot about the category of one. How can you be so deliberate on narrowing down and playing with all the things? It takes time to really instill that. So the core of 10X thinking is about deep transformation, driven by a very clear vision of your future self and filtering out the distractions and irrelevant aspects of your present life. So let's go one step deeper. There's a lot of research from psychologist Daniel Gilbert, and he's at Harvard University. And she wrote this TED Talk, and it's called The Psychology of Your Future Self. I highly recommend it. And he said that most people don't think much about their future selves. They don't. They fantasize, they feel a victim, and they shortcome themselves and what they're possible in their future. And so while we think about the future and we have these milestones, there's another fabulous author, Robert Greene. And he wrote The 50th Law. And he says that by our nature, as rational creatures, we cannot help but think of the future. And most people, out of fear, limit their views of the future and they narrow down that range. And that's where we go back to the principles, the past, the current identity. And we stop there and we try to push out to the future, but the tension on that 10X, that tension and that connection to the clarity and the relentlessness isn't strong enough to continue to pull us out versus trying to fix ourselves or go back and figure something that we haven't felt like we've overcome. It's a complete lie. So it is the law of power. However, that the future is going to bring you further and deeper is when we then contemplate that future and we grab that hold of that vision and we take that capacity and we make it even bigger. So then the next step is how do we create the context that's so good that gives us more spaciousness to be in that energy, that emotional body, and to bring in the flavors, the scent, the sound, all of that at a regular basis. And that actually is then what shapes our desires. And so Dr. Gilbert found that just as most people project the past onto the present, they also project the past onto the future. And so that's where the narrowing snaps us out of our infinite possibilities to poke through those portals. That's why I do a lot of super conscious work. We have to get out of the field, out of this quantum, and entangle with the universe as a freedom in that open space. That's where we start dialing in the messages. Things start to really dial in and we become the attachment to that resonance. And the average person, like I said, struggles to imagine who their future self even is in 10 years. They assume their future self will mostly be the same. And that's the core issue, is that they figure the future self will just incrementally change and be the same. But here's a better approach. It's to really start thinking about your future self and imagining an impossible future self. I use the word impossible. Impossible goals are actually simpler and more practical because they force you outside your current frame of reference. And this is where I opened up and I said, I'm going to stretch you out of your box, I'm going to bring you to the edge. And I want you to carry this with you all week, all month, all quarter. Impossible goals are simpler and more practical because they force you outside of your current frame of reference. And that's the goal. Doesn't matter what the goal is, it is that you're outside of that reference point that you're always going back to. You're creating that tension so big in the future in the context that then becomes bigger. You start living it from the now. So rather than letting that present dictate the future, it's powerful to let an impossible future self dictate what you do right now in the present. So let the future self strategize. Let the future self filter out your thoughts, your actions. And then you progress from thinking to feeling and into a place of knowing. That's when it's somatic about your future. Emotionally accepting that your future self is so close that it doesn't feel and resonate at that distance anymore. Reach a place of knowing your future identity and operating from it. Have fun with it. Beliefs are nothing more than something that you believed over and over again. So this is the same pattern, but it takes discipline and it takes dreaming and it takes laughing and having a lot of fucking fun and saying, I don't care what you think. This is so big and it's so massive. I'm living in it now. And I'm not talking about all this spiritual jargon. I'm not talking about manifesting. I'm not talking about wash and repeat what everybody tells you do on 10X or your future self. This is a message for you uniquely. And your past is always a draft, my friends. Your future self is also always a draft that you will improve on tomorrow. Don't get locked into today's version. And if you have increasingly better past, that post-traumatic growth, right? How it made you stronger and you're increasing bigger and more purposeful future. In fact, the only way to make your present better is by making your future bigger. Last but not least, my friend, Elon Musk does this really well, actually. He calls it first principle thinking. And this is where innovation comes from. And you can't innovate and transform something if you're stuck in the past. It's just simply not possible. So I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to invite you in to letting go of that 80% and start to dial in and really filter through your day. So I teach the flow assessment and the flow operating system ecosystem. It's free. If you want it, reach out to me. I'll give you the flow assessment. You'll figure out the season of your business and the core season of your instinct. I'm dynamo. I'm very spring. So I have to make sure that I have my metals and my earth people around me. And that's how you start, again, getting really clear. Okay, this is my true nature. Why am I doing all this stuff? That's another layer of the 80%. 80% that no longer is relevant, and go deep on the 20%. And I'll go even further on that. Take that 20%, choose 4%. That's the dialed down, distilled thing that you will work on, that you will be relentless on, and it may change. That's fine. But the practice is removing the 80%, dialing in on the 20, going all in on that one thing. And you will develop extreme mastery at the core of what you do, the relationships you invite in, and what you no longer will put up with. This applies to everyone, not just visionaries, not just entrepreneurs, right? So what did Steve do? Steve Jobs stripped away the 80% of the music that had no relevance. He focused deeply on the 20% that matter. He simplified the music experience. As a result, we all know we got the iPod, the ability to buy one song for 99 cents and carry thousands in your pocket. One device, one simplification process, one qualitative change, going from CDs to iPod. And that wasn't marginal change. It was a fundamental transformation in the industry, category of one. It's like going from a horse and a buggy to a damn car. And quite frankly, y'all know that flying cars are coming. Just saying right now. So to dial it in, because of this qualitative shift, there are now massive quantitative possibilities where music can now scale in totally different ways. And now we're seeing that with, that's right, AI. The AI accelerator that I created to not only get more leads based on attracting resonance with the right audience, but also transforming my life as an ADHD creator. I can hyper focus really well and distilling down and using AI as a mirror to my conscious intelligence. Now, if you're going to be in the fear and thinking that AI, just like Steve Jobs did with the music, how can you take AI and make a qualitative and quantitative change in your industry or in your life just using prompts? You want my prompt garden? Go and get my prompt garden. It has all of the best practices backed by one click. And that's a way I innovated my workflows as well as then gave it to others so they can private label it and use it themselves. So that's a quantitative and qualitative shift. And that's where change comes from, the curiosity and something so big that people that are scared of AI, that's fine. But I'm about showcasing the light and showing where we're going into the future so that other people aren't left in the dark. And so a qualitative transformation sets that stage, my friend, for your exponential and quantitative growth. Dial it in. If you need support or a coach, reach out. How do we become world-class entrepreneurs, achieve more by doing less? Because that's the ticket. It's too much. So I'm going to leave you with how this philosophy, again, can be applied to how I created the AI prompt garden and the AI accelerator to really help you take this concept and just re-imitate what Dan Perel says best. Imitate and then initiate what that is unique for you. So use the frameworks. AI, these prompts are here to help you take that 10x approach, not by sparkling new shiny objects, but to really give you the deeper insights of when you start creating your own AI infrastructures and workflow, you literally start growing the gray matter in your brain. And you will come up with these unexpected ideas and concepts that are in the flow of creation. And when you step into the AI prompt garden, if you're not already a subscriber to my Substack, you can go to the digital garden. I'll link that. You'll have access to the prompt garden. You can get it for $17. You have all the prompts, 30 and growing every week. And I take the best of the best from Vicky Bush and Justin Welsh and Dan Coe. And then I put them into a fundamental so that you can have Twitter threads based on sequences. You can have email funnels. You can have esoteric enealogy. They'll give you the number based on your name and share with you the different crystals and the different zodiacs and just so much richness of all the different variety, right? So this is an example of taking all of this stuff and then curating it to your niche or your desire or your problem, putting it in one AI prompt. You now productize your genius. And you can use it as a lead magnet. You can use it as a sequence of different tiny transformations for your clients. People want to get there and they want to get there fast. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to think for it. So you have to become the brain to help people get to their goals faster. And allow this to give you novel, unexpected ideas, spark creative insights that push you to reimagine any existing process, to simplify it down to that 2x, and then be disciplined at that 4% and live in that future and just continue this process over and over again. So that's how you 10x, my friends. Again, 10x psychology is around identity, time, and your future. It's making your future 10 times bigger and so big. And it becomes so much more simple when it's so big. You now can see all of the shit that's in the way that you need to clear out. So you can focus on the 20% of the essentials and then dial it down to the 4% of the one thing you need to do every day to live in that embodiment. So in summary, You can also grab the AI Prompt Garden or the AI Accelerator. It's a valuable tool to start pushing that thinking beyond typical human limitations and really generate those radical ideas, get more insights and solutions. And it's going to bring us all into this quantitative human wisdom of consciousness, the hive mind, in making us better humans, not to judge or to make decisions on how people are using it, but only have control on how we use it. And it'll allow you to evaluate, refine, and implement those ideas responsibly and fast. So there you go, my friends. That's how you 10X. I hope you have a fabulous time bridging into your future this week, this month, and this quarter. If you need any support, please reach out. If you want support with the flow frequency and masterclass, it will help you define the season of your nature, your true nature, and your business. And then if you want the AI tiny prompts for big impact, tiny transformations, one click at a time, you just go ahead and reach out to me. All my love, all my light, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey there, I just wanted to pop in and actually give you a real valuable lesson and what it looks like to live in a 10X mindset and 2X your focus. Now, these videos are from Alex Hormozi, a multi-millionaire who shares his opinion on how to 2X your focus, your excellence, and your message so that you can leverage and compound your income. So enjoy these snippets, and thanks again for watching the episode.
Divided by time. Plain speak. Output per minute of time. That is how you work faster. Which means that the hardest working man in the world can be objectively measured. That guy is the hardest guy working in the world. In 2022, he had $140 billion in net worth. For context, that's more than Bill Gates did his entire career in 1 year. Think about that for a second. And then next year, he did the exact same again. FYI, that's $2 billion a week. So output divided by time. There's the time, 1 year. There's the output. He's the hardest working guy. But doing more is capped by time and physical ability. How much you get, aka leverage, is uncapped. Fun fact, Warren Buffett took home $500 million in dividends last year from Coca-Cola as an owner. The CEO took home 50. He spent less time working on Coca-Cola than the CEO did. So, is he working harder? By the definition that we did, yes. More output. We've been playing the game wrong. If you want to outwork your competition, what you really should be doing is out-leveraging them. So who gets more done? We got one person who does 100 calls a day, another person who does 100 calls a day. The guy who has more skill. One guy makes 100 calls, another guy makes 100 calls. The guy who's better on the phone gets more output. Okay, let's say they're equal skill. They're working 8 hours a day, making calls. Oh, I forgot to ask the question. Who gets more work done? There's the answer. The guy that has the automated dialer that keeps his talk time the highest. Same skill, same number of hours, and same automated dialer to maximize talk time. Who gets more work done? The guy who has the best list. Okay, they've got the same list, the same skill, same dialer, 8 hours a day. The guy who's calling to the right season, the right time of day. Who wants to be calling, selling shit during December if you're selling physical products? Who wants to sell on Black Friday? Of course, more leverage, same work, more output. Okay, let's say all this stuff's equal. Now who's even? All right, now we've got the same time of year, same list, same offer, same dialer, equal skill, 8 hours a day. Who's going to do it? It's got to be equal now, right? The guy who recorded his pitch and sent it to 10 million people. Now, to push this even further, what if the guy made 0 calls and didn't do anything? Who makes more against the best caller on earth? The guy who's got a team. He's got 15 dudes on the phone. I don't care how good you are. I have more people calling for me today while I'm on stage. Leverage.
Pretty good, eh? So this is a pure example of how to leverage your time. So up next, let's go ahead and break it down a little bit more, and he'll share how the game is rigged and how you can come out on top.
The game is rigged, and you've been playing by rules that do not exist. If you want to make more money, you need to get more for your time. You need more leverage. And this should make sense because we all trade time for money. And I can prove this to you. You spend time every second of your life. You receive money over the time that you are alive. So, money divided by time equals rate of output. We are all paid dollars per hour. The reason I'm specifically saying this to this audience is that y'all get fooled all the fucking time by passive income. It's not passive. It's less active, but it is not binary. It is not active or passive. It's how active is it? So if you make one trade in the stock market, all the time it took you to analyze the deal and every other deal you decided not to do, and then execute the trade and then raise the money and do all the other stuff, that is all the time that it took you to do that. Now, after that point, you have increasing returns per unit of time. Is this making sense? The point I'm making here is that time is the thing. We all have the same $24 in our wallet. It's about how we allocate them and what we get back for them, how well we trade.
So this next part, my friends, listen closely, because as someone that maybe affinitizes with ADHD or is always chasing the next software or the next course or program, that is the thing as entrepreneurs to hit that peak level and get through glass ceilings. Pay attention.
Boring and better gets you more for what you put in. Better is leverage. Now, imagine who here has a few businesses. It'd be really fucking hard to make that list, wouldn't it? There's too much shit. It's too much stuff to make the business, which means it becomes impossible, which means that's why you have to pick one, because there is so much stuff that has to be done to do one business right. Just do it right. If you do it right, you grow by default. It is a promise. Who here is like, I know I should be doing more email follow-up. I know I should be calling my leads within 5 minutes. Who here thinks that? Right? Okay, let me ask a different question. And if you did, raise your hand. Who here calls all your leads within 5 minutes? Okay, like 2 hands. You will triple your sales. Triple. Triple. Who wants to triple their fucking business? Triple. But sounds boring. Sure is. Got to implement a CRM. Got to get round robin set up. Leads got to come in. You got to figure out how call prioritization works between the team. That's boring. Makes you a shitload of money. That's how it works. Who's going to win? 2 different businesses. The guys who got the shit dialed. Better gets you more for what you put in.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me, my friend. I hope you enjoyed those snippets from Alex Hermosi. Just genius. And remember, make your vision, your desire 10x so big that you have no other choice than to remove all of the excess. And as Alex showed us, the value of creating business is to grow in our insights, our skills, our education. And it really sets us up where the process of learning and personal growth is not separate from earning a living, but rather they are intertwined and mutually beneficial. All right, we'll see you on the next one.